Hello there. Today I'm taking a look at a Spanish wine. The wine is a Vino de Pago. So this is Arinzano, DOP Pago de Arinzano, and this is their Gran Vino Blanco from the 2010 vintage. So the estate here has its own DOP, its own appellation, and actually this was the first DOP in northeast Spain, and it lies within the Navarra region. So it's an area influenced by the Atlantic Ocean, the Bay of Biscay, with cooling influences. The estate is a single valley of about 355 hectares in the foothills, just at the base of the Pyrenees, with somewhere in the region of about, I think, 128 hectares of that comprising the Vino de Pago area. And there is a red wine, but also a white wine made as the Vino de Pago. And this is 100% Chardonnay. Now, the estate has a winemaking history that dates back to the 11th century, and there's a rather beautiful 18th century manor house there. But when the Chivite family set about revitalising the estate in 1988, there were no vines growing there at all. So they completely replanted all the vineyard, they renovated the house, and they employed an architect called Rafael Moneo to build new cellars. So as I say, they started this work in 1988. By 1998, they were starting to lobby the authorities in Navarra that this estate should become a Vino de Pagos, a single estate DOP. And they were relatively successful because that came about in 2007. Now the estate is special because of its climatic influences, as I say, the Atlantic Ocean cooling it, and the Ega river producing a cooling influence. And so in the height of summer, there's quite a strong diurnal temperature variation. So you'll have warm days, cool night, enabling the vines to ripen fruit effectively and yet still keep good acidity and provide balance in the wine. Now there's quite a wide morphology, as you can imagine, with quite a fair-sized estate. But the plot from which the Chardonnay comes is one with a red sandstone, a fractured red sandstone topsoil and calcareous subsoils. Yields are kept low. When I'm saying low, I mean really quite low, so 1.5 tonnes a hectare. I should imagine it's quite wide planting, so per vine the yields are probably not quite so low, but still that's particularly low yielding. Everything's hand-picked. They will double sort it, so presumably that's sorting both in the vineyard and at the winery. Picking goes on into shallow 10 to 12 kg cages, so that the fruit is not being crushed on its way to the winery. It turns up at the cellars in perfect health. And there, the bunches are kept whole and they're pressed as whole bunches. And the reason for that is it gives a lovely clean juice. That is then allowed to settle briefly. And fermentation starts with just a little turbidity left in the juice, because it's quite good to leave a little, because that leaves a degree of nutrients for the yeast to work with. The wine is barrel fermented. Fermentation temperatures are actually kept quite cool. I'm assuming they're using an air-conditioned barrel hall there. After fermentation, the wine ages in barrel for 11 months. Those are 50% new, 50% second fill, French oak barrels, I'm assuming barrique, although they don't actually say. And during that period, there's regular batonnage when they feel that the wine needs it. So batonnage going around and stirring up the yeast lees in the barrel to try and give richness and fullness to the wine. Now I did have a look at the Wine Searcher aggregated score for this vintage, and it's a wine that's getting a little elderly, and so I was concerned as to whether it would be alright. It seems to be fine. That said, the score is brought down to 89 by the fact that there's one taster who appears to have had a bottle that's quite badly oxidised and has scored it at 82. So when we're thinking about that, once we've tasted it, perhaps we should take that into consideration. So looking at it here in the evening light, you can actually see that's quite a deep, rich, almost golden yellow colour. Swirling it, the wine has 13.5% alcohol. It's not particularly forming tears on the glass. So let's have a look at the aromas, shall we? The aromas have a clean vanilla and cedar note. There's almost a sort of a slight salty overtone to it as the wine's got some age there. There's a creaminess, there are peachy touches. There are a lot of things that you'd expect with quite a young Chardonnay, so this is still showing all those features quite well. perhaps the creaminess and the peachiness are harmoniously together in a way that you wouldn't get in a young wine. But in general, it's fairly text in terms of barrel fermented Chardonnay. So let's have a taste. The wine is rich, rounded, fresh, not particularly heavy, and the acidity is sort of lemony crisp. It's not sharp or minerally, and you're getting this lovely creaminess, buttery texture coming through under some very nice ripe peach notes, sort of ripe stone fruit notes. There's a slightly syrupy texture. The wine's medium to full bodied, but it's not huge and rich. The alcohol is nicely in balance, and as a result, the finish is actually able, it's not being closed up by alcohol. It's able to sort of show this lovely peachy fruit with fresh lemony crispness through on a long finish. There's nice intensity to this. I was concerned that a wine of this age, with a relatively dark colour, might be sort of showing oxidised notes, especially having seen that one tasting note that said the wine was maderized and smelt, I think, dusty or something like that. So we've been much luckier with this. I would suggest that actually the wine is probably just past its best drinking, but it's certainly not far into a period of decline. This is offering some lovely drinking. There is that freshness, and the freshness at the end is still leaving a lingering peachy sensation on my palate. So I think quite a successful wine. I think I would probably rate it somewhere sort of a 91 and 92 out of 100 rather than the 89 that our aggregated score's been pulled down to. But I think that's a score that could decline over the next couple of years as the wine ages further. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found the tasting of interest. If you have, do please press the like button. If you'd like to see more of our videos, please do sign up and follow us. It would be fantastic to have you as a subscriber. I'll leave a link so that you can go through to the Wine Searcher website and find out more about this wine, its pricing, its availability, and some of its background information. If you have any comments you want to leave, please leave those in the comments box below. And if you think you've got any friends who might be interested in watching the video, do please feel free to share it with them. That would be fantastic. Most importantly, however, do please try and take some time. Come and join us for another tasting in the near future, won't you? Thanks again. Bye for now.